All right, we're rolling live from the wasteland outside the survival pod. This is Freedom Phil, and what's the topic today? Well, apparently California is now suggesting a per mile tax. Why are they doing that? And they're also suggesting, if you leave California, they'll make it a law that says you're going to be taxed for the next 10 years. What's my thoughts on this? Because California, you would think, is the tip of the spear, but this is something America does on the regular. And this is something that illegals find easy ways around on a regular basis. Where am I going with this? This is Freedom Phil. Like, subscribe. Let's get into it. And hey, turn up the video speed. And why do I say that? Because you can watch videos at far faster speeds. That's why the channel's called Turn Up the Video Speed. If I upload this, you watch it at 1.75. Let's get into it. Like, subscribe. It's like this. So the per mile tax, you know why that's happening? Well, you guys push this electric mandate. We're going all electric. We're going to punish you if you buy a fossil fuel powered car. We're saving the environment. Yeah, the unintended consequences of the decisions. And they probably knew this was going to happen. They knew this. In fact, this isn't new information. This is stuff that they've known in every country that tries to go to electric. How quickly they're like, hey, wait, where's our gas taxes? Oh, wait, they're not buying gas. So one, you have a problem of where do you get all this electricity in states that don't want to actually make a effective electricity grid? They don't want to do nuclear. They're like, coal is horrible. Solar works, but not so much at night. You don't have the infrastructure. You don't have all the charging stations everywhere you need to go. So we have two problems there. You run your gas taxes down and you still have infrastructure that the electric cars are driving on. And turns out you don't have the power to power the electric cars either. Could start building more earth shelter style homes. That might help, but that's a bridge too far for a lot of people. Where am I going with this? They knew this was going to happen. So they get all these people in electric cars. And this is the same thing happened up in Western Washington. I bet you watch any blue state where they've done this. What they'll do is they'll either charge you by the mile or they'll charge you a higher tax because you have a hybrid. You're not buying as much gas. So no, you're not. You might be saving if you drive enough, but when the tabs for your regular gas-powered gas pusher are anywhere from $30 to $100, and the tabs for your renewal on your hybrid are what, $200, $300, $400, let's say $1,000, because they put a tax on you getting your registration. Well, all the money you probably saved is now down the toilet because you have to look at the cost of the investment of buying the hybrid. And I think they're a great idea. Don't get me wrong. They are punishing you for doing the right thing. And by the way, I don't have a problem with hybrids or electrics or, gas pushers. I'm just saying if a choice would save you lots of money, that's probably the right choice to be making. If you could produce your own power at your own house and you can funnel it into your car or your e-bike, that's the way to be going. So why would California punish this? Because they knew they would lose revenue. So they want to do a by the mile tax because they're losing money. Their own policies don't work. And much like Adam Carolla said, every time California gets a chance, it's not maybe we need to reduce spending on this or that. Maybe we need to actually get rid of some of the corruption spending and all the bloat, because a lot of their voters literally are bloat. That's it. They're fucking bloat. And honestly, we come to the next part of the California spear. The tip of the spear is quite literally these people, but it's not true. Actually, America does this too, and we'll get back into that. I do believe they're right to say that former Californians should pay taxes to California for the next 10 years. What? Yeah. You guys voted for this catastrophe. You guys voted to make the state the way it is, and then you do the boomer move, do the boomer dance, make a bunch of problems, do the boomer dance, flee the state, flee the state. I don't like the way things are going. I'm going to the other state. And then they bring their god-awful fucking politics to states like Texas or Idaho. Eastern Washington becomes more like Western Washington. And I love Washington as a state. And the same thing, Eastern Oregon becomes more like Western Oregon. And I like some of the advancements, I do, but I don't want your god-awful fucking politics from California or Illinois or New York going everywhere you're not. You should be forced to pay those taxes because you're the people who voted to make that state the way it is. You should pay your fair share. And they're like, oh, you know what will happen in the long run? Any state that does that, there'll be a chilling effect. The business will be like, well, I kind of wanted to build a business in this state because I like the place, but I don't want to deal with having this liability that after 10 years after, I moved out of the state, I'm going to have to pay corporate taxes to some state I'm not even living in. So go ahead, California, do it. Go for it. And I think you're right to want that money. All those people who moved up to the Great Northwest and jacked up the housing cost where I grew up, fuck them. They should have to pay. All those tech bros, Silicon Valley bro, just like in Portland and Seattle, the blue abysses that are actually the real problem in those states, they should have to pay their fair share. Now we get down to how California, even though it seems like the tip of the spear, America's been doing this shit for years. If you want to renounce your American citizenship, oh yeah, they're going to take their cut of the pie. America doesn't want you leaving. They don't. They want you continuing to run on that GDP treadmill. Keep running, keep running, keep running. They want, if you're not going to leave, if you leave your state, that's one thing. And you leave to another state, because then you're still in the American range. Livestock on the American range, milking you like a cow. You leave the country as an American, they try to fuck you. And this is where a lot of these, the scams, when you think, oh, we'll take that money back. No, you're not. Because here's what's already happened. That money is already in another country. I mean, shit, look what the Somalians are doing. They take whole suitcases full of millions of dollars and take it. If they declare it, they look at it, it's from a legal source. The city of Minneapolis, state of Minnesota, or whatever scam nationwide that they're doing. And then they take it over to the other country and they invest it over there. Land, gold, silver. Now, do you think that there aren't immigrants doing that right now? That's how they get around it. They'll power down their business to where even when they sell off their piece of something to probably another relative, assuming they keep it within the same family line, they're not paying the real taxes because they've already exported the money out of the country. Now, and that's the thing we should really look at. We shouldn't have foreigners taking American capital out of America. Unless they're building the business, it's worth it. We should have foreigners bringing money into America. And some might say, hey, what about the temporary worker who wants to work for 5, 6, 7, 8 years and then go back and retire? I do kind of understand that. But there should be a heavy tax on any of those people. If we know that you're basically, just like I'm a trucker and I can live in the truck, just like with van life, I can live in the truck. I don't have to pay for a house, a car, all this crap. I don't have to pay those high costs. I've had the same late 80s van since 2009. I bought it with 98,000 miles on it, and I've only put maybe 34 or so thousand miles on it since then, since 2009. You see, that is the situation that people are going to look at. Now, we got someone talking here, so let's just see if this person's a real one. Let's see if you're actually a subscriber, and if you're not, I'm not going to read either one of your comments. That's how I roll. People like, oh, notice me, look at me. Notice me, senpai. Okay, you want me to notice you? You better be doing something from me. You better be a subscriber. We'll see if that person puts another comment. I ain't even judging your comment because I haven't read it yet. But I'm telling you, we need to get this capital flight from happening in America. And I do think in some states, like Illinois, I think Washington needs to be split up. Y'all don't hear me. Washington state needs to be split up into multiple states, much like California. For instance, you have Central Washington, Seattle, Puget Sound, all that, down to Olympia. You can have that as we'll call that the Emerald State, like the Emerald City. And then Western Washington, basically where all the trees grow, the Olympics going south towards the Columbia, that's Western Washington. And then Eastern, as the retards over there say, Washington, because they don't know how to fucking use their lips right. Got to be some of them Mormons done fucking their cousins. Make them talk funny. Those people, they could have their own damn state. And then the Emerald State can deal with their own fucking consequences. And when their people try to take that ferry over to my part of the state, yeah, they should pay reparations back to, Seattle. You've benefited from it. You voted for it. And that's the same thing that should be done with all these blue states and even red states. Let's have representation that represents the people. But if you try to flee your state after voting for all that shit for all that time, and one might argue, hey, man, maybe, hey, here's a thought. We should look at your voting history. We should look at some of your social media. They're like, well, what do you mean? If you voted conservative and you voted against these taxes and we can show a voting pattern that shows I didn't vote to fuck up the state, that was everybody else, then yeah, we'll let you off. Or we'll give you a reduced sentence, reduced reparations. Yeah. But if you voted blue the whole way along to be popular, and then like, oh my God, this place is going downhill. The taxes are getting too high. My God, let's move to a red state and fuck that up. You remember when Montana was Montana? Remember when Idaho? There was the whole of Idaho. Now Boise might as well be Seattle. It's Seattle, but more sunshine. Boise. That shit gets a little less worse the farther you go. About time you get to Twin Falls. It's mellowing out. Pocatello, it's got a college, so it's kind of like that, but not as bad. You got to get back into East Idaho if you want to have Idaho. And when you're in Wyoming, that might as well be Idaho. Idaho might as well. That part of Idaho might as well be Wyoming. Those people are red, with the exception of Jackson Hole. See, Jackson Hole should be separated. What I'm getting at with this is that if you're going to sit there and tell me that these people, we shouldn't have to pay taxes for this, shouldn't have to pay taxes after we leave. No, you voted for that shit. And if you can show a clean voting line, you voted against all these propositions that done fuck up your state, then you get to walk away. But I'm a little sick and tired of these people. They just figured out yesterday. Like California's problem with taxation was a problem when I was a kid. Like I was a teenager, they were talking about that. So this whole time, this is the game. Just like, the problems that came from California came to Portland and then came to Seattle. And then everywhere that they set up an enclave, the pustule explodes and splatters everywhere else. I think you should be taxed based on your voting habits. And you watch how quickly everybody becomes a conservative fucking tomorrow. Be like, yeah, I'm sick and tired of paying more taxes. I don't want to pay for some bullshit welfare Section 8 motherfuckers. I don't want to pay for some person who walked across the border yesterday. I'm a heritage American. I work hard for my money. You see a lot more conservative thinking people if you start taxing according to the way you vote. All right, that's Freedom Phil. It's Freedom Phil. Apparently, we ain't going to read Carl's comments because Carl didn't leave another comment after I said the requirement of you as a subscriber, you leave a comment, we start talking. Apparently, that was a bridge too far. Because if Carl was already a subscriber, we would have had that conversation. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody wants something for free, and when subscribing is free and that's a bridge too far, I don't need to fucking hear what you got to say. Shut up. Freedom Phil, y'all take it easy.